You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengelt.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever you're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report. We are really happy that you made that choice. Today is November 23rd, 2024. It's a Saturday, so it's another day for the Central Indiana Sports Report. I'm your host, Greg Mengelt, and joining me for the football semi-state scoreboard is Michelle Garmon of the Tipton Tribune and Elwood Call Leader. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you, Greg. Happy to be here. And folks, we really are. This really is Saturday, November
Yes.
23rd.
Yes, it is. I came home to be with my wife for the weekend, so we got a little bit delayed and had our first girls basketball scoreboard as well. So that'll be out a little later in the morning. So, Michelle, it's the penultimate day of high school football. And we don't have any exactly local teams, but we do have some kind of local teams, and we're going to give you all the scores here coming up in a second.
Yeah, I think it should be a fun weekend for those that will be making the trip to Indianapolis and Lucas Oil Stadium on Friday and Saturday of next week. Thanksgiving holiday is always a little bit nicer for those football families and everything, a little more exciting. Um, I know I have attended pep sessions on Thanksgiving Day before. I'll never forget the first one when Tipton went to the 3A state championship game in 1988. I didn't know what to expect. I walk into the gym to cover that pep session on Thanksgiving night, and Tipton's gym, at that time with those old bleachers, seated over 3,000 people. And half of that whole gym, there were over 1,500 people there that night, Greg. It was just, you walked in, it was just incredible to see that many people. And, some of it was families of football players that had traveled in from out of town and out of
Oh,
state
sure.
for a holiday and to see in there. But it just was it was a great atmosphere. And I know that's exciting. I remember going to Tri Central's their pep session. They actually had theirs on Wednesday when the Pilgrim Cup was supposed to be played on a Wednesday night instead of actually on Thanksgiving in 2013, and that was really a big crowd for them too. Their only trip to the state finals, and it's just something really unique and extra special. So, congratulations to the 12 teams that are advancing. Congratulations to the other 12, to the other 12 teams on
Exactly.
they got there on outstanding seasons, because just to get to play in the semi-state is quite an achievement. But I kind of can feel the excitement for them and for the kids and the coaches and everything, especially teams that haven't been there or their programs haven't been there in a long time. So there are a lot of new people getting to experience it.
Yeah, a lot of historic nights tonight. To For this scoreboard tonight, we're going to go in order of the games that are being played this weekend. So we're going to start with the 11 a.m. Friday, which is 2A. I just want to remind everybody that the Central Indiana Sports Report football semi-state scoreboard is brought to you by Daddy O's Food Trailer. They are out of season right now, so I'm not going to give you all of their information. Go to Facebook, Daddy O's Food Trailer. Hit up Eric Robinson if you're looking for the best food trailer in Central Indiana. All right,
Very
Michelle. Class 2A, 11 a.m. Friday will be number 4, Adams Central against number 7, Linton Stockton. Adams Central is 12-1 after a 20-13 win over Andrean, their fourth straight trip to state, but they're first in Class 2A. Linton Stockton is 11-2 after a 40-28 win over Indianapolis Lutheran, a three-time reigning state champion in Class A. It's
Yeah.
Linton Stockton's third trip to state. The other two times were 2015 and 2016. That one was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah. A bit of a surprise, But also, we talked about in the preview show that Linton Stockton, because they got the huge win in the regional
Yeah.
and the way they went, they might have just they got on a roll at the
They
right time. And
showed they were no fluke, that's for sure.
no, they were not. And congratulations to the Miners. I'm really happy. I'm really happy for them. Of course, they prevented a rematch of the Class A state
Yes, they did.
championship for the last few years up in 2A because they knocked out Lutheran. You know, uh, Adams Central won over Andrean team, but I'll tell you what, I don't think you can overlook Clinton Stockton next weekend on Friday because I this team's just got something special going right now. By the same token, Adams Central. Um, they're pretty good themselves. They do what they do, and they do what they do pretty well. I I'm looking forward to I think what should be a good 2A state championship game. I'll have to decide if I'm going to pay the fee to watch it because I don't think these games are free on live stream.
Exclusively on ihsaatv.org. So it's $15 per game or $20 for all of them, and that's too bad.
It really is too bad. Although I think the $20, I don't think you have to watch them live. I'm not sure how long the on demand, is valid for. Um, but you just hate it because once they went off of television, I think it's so exciting and everything, but I don't think they get the viewers like
Exactly.
they did when they offered it somewhere on television. It'd be really nice if one of the local stations would be willing to pick it up and put it on again, or to put it on. But I do know that they're probably not going to because that's a big weekend for college football too. So and the local stations, those are big networks, and there would be a lot of fans, I think, upset if you took away some college games for some high school games.
There's no reason you can't have it on Fox Sports Indiana or whatever it's called now. But
Yes.
that network's worthless, and so anyway, that's quite an aside there. Adam Central's only state championship came in 2000. Linton Stockton's only state championship 2016.
Yeah, so it'll be great. It means that none of the means that none of these kids have the current players have experienced a state championship. Although um, Adams Central has been in a Class A state championship game for the last
3 years.
3 years.
Yep.
But like I said, I mean, I just think Linton Stockton is on a little roll right now, and it should be a very interesting game.
Yeah, you kind of want Adam Central to win that game after losing 3 in a row. That's
Yeah, or you kind of want Linton Stockton to win it because they haven't been there for a while.
whew, okay. Class 4A at 3 p.m. on Friday. Number 2 East Noble versus number 1 New Palestine. East Noble is 12-1 after beating Mishawaka 18-13. It is East Noble's 4th trip to the state finals. Their only championship came in 2000, and I covered that one for the Fort Wayne News Sentinel. And New Palestine 43, Martinsville 7, as we kind of expected. And it's the first semi-state championship for New Pal since 2019, but they're 5th in the last 11 years. Of course, they won state championships in 14, 18, and 19.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling they're
Mishawaka,
going to do the same thing to East Noble that they've done to everyone
eh,
else.
I kind of think so too, and I don't mean it. I mean, we knew Mishawaka
Yep.
has a good defense, and but so does New Pal, and the difference is New Pal has a potent offense, obviously. The way they've put up points on the board, and I'm gonna guess that New Pal, you probably look, it's probably been an offense. They've probably done have really good special teams, and
Yeah, they had
their
400
defense has
yards
probably
tonight.
scored some touchdowns too, would be my guess.
They had 400 yards of offense tonight, over
Yeah.
300 yards rushing. It was complete domination as we expected. I
Yes.
thought the state championship was probably last week. I'm not saying East Noble can't be New Pal. I'm sure they can if they're good enough that if the right things happened. But I expect New Pal to
Well,
roll through the programs. What, fifth state championship? Yep,
yeah,
fourth. Fourth.
I said from the get go, New Pal was a lock. I forgot that they were going to have to play Chittard
Right.
in the regional,
Uh,
and then when we found out, I said, well, New Pal wins, that will be that's going to be their toughest opponent all year,
should
and they
seem
did
that
it.
way.
So I really I'm not going to back off. I think they're a lock to win next week.
Yeah, I wouldn't say lock, but I like their chances, and you never know with matchups when you get in games like that. So it's hard to say lock, but they look like a heavy favorite. To the 6A championship, 7 p.m. on Friday. Number 3 Westfield versus number 4 Brownstown Central. Westfield advanced with a 30-7 win over Crown Point. It's their third trip to the state finals in the last 5 years, and their fifth in the last 12 years. Their only state championship came in 2016, and that was in Class 5A. And Brownsburg is 12-1 after beating Center Grove 31-27. It's Brownsburg's first semi-state championship since 1985, since it was their first regional championship since 1985. Oh, no, that's not right, is it? They won it last year. All right.
Oh, the regionals?
Yeah. It's their first trip to the state final
No,
since
no,
ninth.
no, 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 no. They didn't. Ben Davis beat them in
Oh,
the
that's
regional
right.
last year.
You're right. All right. I'm going to go back and do that again then. It's Brownsburg's first trip to the state championship since 1985. Of course, last week they won their first regional since 1985. They were state champions in 1984 and 1985. And we have Richie Hall coming up here in just a moment to talk about the game.
To talk about the Westfield game.
Right, the Westfield game, yes.
Yes.
And Brown and a little bit about Brownsburg as well.
Yes, and a little bit about Brownsburg as well. Brownsburg, you know, um, great win for them. Happy for them. Happy they won. What a long time to go. And Center Grove's not going to want to play anybody who's got school colors of purple and white in the semi-state for a while. I don't think. Back to back
Yep.
years, and it'll be interesting. Can Brownsburg do what Ben Davis did last year, and can they go and win it all? Two, Richie will talk about, that's two schools playing this for the 6A title from the same conference. That
Yep.
doesn't happen.
They tied for
It-
the conference championship, so this is like I said in there, conference championship tiebreaker in the state finals.
Yeah, I mean, and that really, because most conferences, are regionally located, and it just so happens that Westfield, that group, they get to go north instead of south,
That's right.
and so it sets up this state finals matchup. You know, two teams that don't have to travel far to get to Lucas Oil, um, and you know, two communities, I think, that will have a great turnout for that game next Friday night. It's the Friday after Thanksgiving. You got Black Friday, you got the Christmas tree lighting on the circle. It's a great time to be downtown Indy, so those fans can go and spend the day and go to the game, and then go do more things after the game if they want. But
Richie also talked a little bit about that the power had been in the city for so long, and now it seems to be moving to the suburbs. And this is I think the first time ever he said that two suburb teams have played each other in the 6A championship.
see, that's pretty cool too, because yeah, I like them. I like them both. But Westfield has done a great job of really pumping up their program. It's
Beautiful
amazing
stadium.
because, pardon?
Beautiful stadium.
Yes, because at one point, Westfield, they you, they couldn't get past the Southeasterns and the Fishers and
Right.
everything, and then they grew, and they developed, and Carmel and everything, and now Westfield is actually the team to beat in that
That's right.
area,
In
and
Hamilton County, yeah.
yeah,
Where
so
where
yeah,
a
so
lot
that
of the best programs in Indiana reside.
yes, yes, I think it's going to be a great game. Um, I will say go Brownsburg. Um, I talked to Adam Armstrong a little bit today via text. I told him, I said, hey, I'm doing this, I've been doing this podcast sometimes with, and I mentioned Central Indiana Sports with Greg Mingell. And I said, hey, you need to listen because I said, I've picked Brownsburg here lately. I said, because of you being the alumni and um, having gotten to coach with Adam a little bit at Tipton and got to know him because he was a Tipton teacher and coach before. Now he's down at Carmel and he is a Brownsburg alum. So he said he thought that was pretty cool and he hoped they win tonight. And they did win. So I'm sure it wouldn't surprise me if Adam and his family aren't at that game as long as Carmel doesn't have girls basketball game next Friday night. I could see Adam at the state championship for that game. So,
All right. Well, here is Richie Hall of the Hamilton County Reporter to talk about Westfield's 30-7 win over Crown Point. Now, Michelle and I welcome Richie Hall back to the Central Indiana Sports Report. Richie, of course, was at the Westfield win tonight. Richie, tell us about the game a little bit.
Well, it started out kind of close. Let me go through my notes here. They're actually trying to start the game. Westfield lost the fumble, but then Crown Point had Cato June intercepted a Crown Point pass, and that helped them. And then they got the ball back in good field position, and took Deacon King just 2 runs to take it from the 6 to the 4 to score the first touchdown. Crown Point answered back with a pass from Noah Ehrlich to Logan or Berniak, kind of the game. But after that, it was pretty much all Westfield. Westfield would go on to score in the second quarter when Carson Melvin hit Bo Braun for that was the big one, a 66-yard pass. Melvin had a great pass to Braun, and then he just found open field and just got going. And later in the second quarter, Deacon King scored his second touchdown of the game, running for the 19-yard run. And before halftime, the last play of the game, Owen Wright takes a 45-yard field goal, and then they got Westfield up to a 24-7 halftime lead. And after that, it was pretty much second half, not as much scoring, but it was really the Owen Wright show. He kicked 2 field goals. I think they were both in the fourth quarter. And then that's what got Westfield to the 30-7 final to send them to their first state championship since 2021.
And their first 6A championship game.
Actually, they did play the 6A championship game in 20 and 21. They lost Center Grove.
All right. I didn't think that it had gone to 6 that early.
Yeah, they won the 5A in 2016 when not shortly after they began 6 classes, but then Westfield moved up to 6A pretty quickly after that.
Richie, were you surprised by how much Westfield dominated after that 7-7 tie?
Yes and no. Yeah, well, I mean, you kind of come into these games never knowing what to expect because, teams like Crown Point and Maryville up in the region, you don't really know much about them. So after the Crown Point score, I thought, well, this might be a tough game. But then Westfield really just got going. Their defense played very well. Cato June had a pair of interceptions. There were big tackles from Micah Webster and Alex Arambolis. And then they got that 21-7 lead and then got the field goal to end the first half. I thought, I think they'll be okay. So it's one of those things where I was a little bit where it would be a little bit surprising. I did think the game would be a little bit closer, but after the second half went on, I thought, what, they've got this. They'll be fine. So.
How much did last year's double overtime loss to Crown Point, do you think, provide a motivation for the win.
Yeah, it's running quite a bit of motivation. I know that I talked to Alex Arambolas and Deacon afterwards and asked them, what did you learn from last year's game that applied to this game? And Arambolas said that, they started out last year too fast. And so, I'm sorry, I think I said they started out too slow. And then I think Deacon admitted that they kind of underestimated them last year. So they came out very fired up, much more serious this time. I think that's what helped them get the win.
It sets up what should be a really nice state championship next week with Brownsburg.
Yeah, definitely. This will be historic too, because you've never had two Hoosier Crossroads Conference schools play for a 6A title before. So whoever wins will be the first ever to win 6A. Fishers won at 5, and Fishers did win a 5A back in 2010. Back when it was still 5 classes, but. We are guaranteed to have a HCC champion 6A, and I think I don't think people are realizing that right now, but that's pretty huge considering the fact that it's mostly been all metropolitan schools, and then, Center Grove is an independent a couple times. So, it's proof, I think, that the HCC has pretty much become one of the premier conferences, if not the premier conference right now in the state.
Yeah, plus the state championship is the conference tiebreaker.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think they will be very prepared because it was 17-13. Brownsburg won the regular season. So I think Westfield will be very prepared and very ready to come out and hopefully get a win in the 6A title game.
Should be a great one, Richie. Thank you so much for your time. We always appreciate it, especially we know how busy you are on Friday nights.
Hey, Richie, I have a quick question for you. How long do you think has Carmel given any indication when they hope to have a new head coach in place?
No, I'm afraid I haven't heard anything about that yet. I imagine they'll have to move pretty quickly since, it is November and, things, and they obviously want to get started with, conditioning and things like that. So hopefully we'll be quick. I've heard rumors, but there's nobody that I think I would want to go public with and say who.
All right, Richie, go ahead.
I just said gotcha. So,
where can people read your work and get updates from this game?
Our website is www.readthereporter.com. We should have the story up in a couple hours or so if you happen to still be awake. And then we'll have the paper out probably around 2:30, hopefully 2:30 a.m. And, of course, I'm on Twitter at Richie_Hall.
Now we move to Saturday's games at Lucas Oil Stadium. 11 a.m. is the Class A state championship. It'll be number 1 North Judson versus number 3 Providence. Both teams are unbeaten. North Judson beat South Adams 46-0 for their first semi-state championship since 1986. They have never won a state championship. Providence 35-30 over South Putnam, their first regional championship since 1993 under the great Gene Sartini. Providence has never won a state championship either. So you kind of get that a little bit of a dynamic there where two unbeaten teams who've been unchallenged all year as the top teams in the state pretty much, but also that haven't been there in a long, long time.
Yeah, kind of takes me back a little bit to 2013 when Tri-Central won, and they met Eastern Hancock in the state championship. And now Eastern Hancock outscored Tri-Central in a close game to open the season that year. And then Tri-Central, of course, didn't lose again the rest of the season. And Eastern Hancock, I can't remember if they lost or won or not, but two programs that, hadn't been there, that were playing for, their first state championships in football. And it's always fun. It's exciting. I think it adds a little bit more extra excitement to it.
No doubt about it. For those communities, that will be very special.
Oh, most definitely. And, Greg, you said you thought North Judson was very good. It'd be really good. And
And
I
of course,
thought,
I covered Providence for more than 20 years, but I think that North Judson's probably going to do the same thing to Providence.
yeah, I think North Judson will probably win too. Because just impresses me their score against South Adams today.
Absolutely.
I mean, the shutout I think is what's so impressive.
And of course, Providence and South Putnam. We talked to Codey Emerson of the Banner Graphic down there in Greencastle about the game. Um, Providence took a big lead on some South Putnam mistakes, and then Providence held on to win that one.
Yeah, the South Putnam made some mistakes, but they were able to keep it close because of that dynamic speed they have. I mean, make it close, not keep it close. Make it
Right,
close. Make that comeback.
right. And here is Codey Emerson from the Banner Graphic. Welcome back to the Central Indiana Sports Report. Codey Emerson, who covered a good one tonight. Codey.
Yeah, it was. It was. I mean, when you look at it, it was a great football game from between South Putnam and Providence. And of course, since us at the Banner Graphic cover South Putnam, well, one of the results to be a little different, but it was still from just a football. I was just watching it here at the house on my TV, and it was from a football fan's perspective. It's a really great football game. Of course, South Putnam fell one game short of their ultimate goal of wanting to play for a Class A state title. They fell 35-30, but Providence is a really good football team, and I know we'll talk about it here as we go on, but South Putnam just shot themselves in the foot a little too often, and it was just a little uncharacteristic of what we've seen all year. But, I mean, they were down multiple scores and had the ball at the 30 with about 20 seconds to go to maybe score the game-winning touchdown, but things didn't go the way they wanted, and their pass on 4th and 5 was intercepted. So, but still, a heck of an effort from South Putnam. They've been a fun team to cover all throughout this postseason, all throughout the regular season. Just came up a little short tonight. I know people in Greencastle are a little disappointed, but Coach Chuck Sorrell and that team have nothing to be ashamed of. Lost the number 2 team in Class A. He had them. It was just a game of momentum, and I mean, they fell just about 30 yards short of coming up and for the game-winning touchdown, but still was a heck of a football game tonight.
Well, when you get to this point of the season, because Greg and I have discussed this on the previews the last couple of weeks, these games often come down to who makes fewer mistakes, who has fewer turnovers, who has the fewer possibly penalties, who doesn't make mistake, who doesn't really make mistakes in their special teams, who converts PATs, who doesn't, shank punts, things like that. I mean, all those little things tend to be the difference when you get to this level.
Yeah, and I was actually, as we're getting ready to come on, I made a list of all the miscues that South Putnam had tonight, and for them to still be in position to have a potential game-winning drive at the very end shows you what a great football team they are. But just going from top to bottom, if I can real quick, at 5:42 in the first quarter, they're up 8-0 and have the ball. And are driving. Their defense got a pretty good stop. And their running back, who had been so good, Ty Ben, all year, he takes some hard hits and doesn't really fumble. The ball just jarred out, and Providence got it. It resulted in a Providence touchdown. Early in the second quarter, 4th and 2, they were up 8-7. In my opinion, and I'm not really one to question a coach who got to Semistate, but I think they got just a little too cute with a little jet sweep tried to get the outside. They got it in one of their best playmakers in Wyatt Switzer, but credit Providence, they were all over it. 4th and 2, they come up. They're inside the, I believe, 15, 20-yard line. Come up. They didn't get any points there. Up 16-14, and with 5:22 in the second quarter, you talk about special teams. They muff a kick, and they were lucky to get it out of the end zone. Folks who watched the game know exactly what I'm talking about. One of their best players granted, it was a little misty on the night. It was cold. Those things happen, but and I'm not saying South Putnam goes down and scores, but you're not pinned inside your basically 1-yard line. And then that resulted, they basically got a 3-and-out. Providence went down and scored on that. Then
short field, right?
Yeah, exactly. And 30 seconds left in the second quarter, you're down 21-16. You have the ball inside the Providence 15, you throw an interception. Then right after Providence uses an insane, time-chewing drive to open up the second half, they go down and score. They're up 28-16. Wyatt Mullen throws a pick six, and it's 35-16, and you're like, oh boy, here we go. So then there's just miscue. They failed on a 4th and 2. Their defense got them the ball back with a chance to go down and, like I said, take the lead ultimately and win the game. But Mullen threw his third pick of the game, and which he had only thrown, I believe, 1 or 2 coming into the game. He had been so efficient with the football, and this offense had been so efficient at not turning the ball over. So it was just one of those nights where I know Coach Sorrell's going to look back and say, if we don't have even some of these miscues, and you go down and score like we're used to seeing South Putnam do all year, it's probably a different ball game. I know you hate to play a game of what ifs at this point, but Providence.
We have some teams still playing what if, 2 weeks later or a week later. So, there are a lot of teams playing what if because there are only 12 teams still playing.
Yeah, it was just one of those nights of where South Putnam is just so uncharacteristic of them.
Yeah.
It was a team that had done such a great job of taking care of the football, and just one of those nights where you have all these turnovers. But like I said, for them to still be in their defense, made stands when they needed to get the offense back, get the offense the ball back, and if you turn, I mentioned 4 turnovers and a couple of failed 4th down conversions. That's basically, I think I have 6 or 7 bullet points listed here that you miscues pretty much, and you still have a chance to win the game in the 4th quarter. I know most coaches would probably take that still.
Oh yeah, that's when as a, that's kind of as coaches say, well, you do that, and you can't afford to do those things and against really good teams in this situation. But at the same time, they're going to turn around and say, but I'm really proud of our kids and the effort and the way they just didn't quit and still put themselves in a chance to win the game.
Yeah, and I know that when you look at the totality of the season for South Putnam, how they got off to, of course, they faced Lutheran, who fell down tonight. Congratulations to Lynn Stockton, by the way. But
absolutely.
They fell to Lutheran, and then a tough 1-point loss against their rival North Putnam, who had a very good year. Then you roll off. It was a critical point for South Putnam. They could have said, they were also battling some injury early on, and then they really just found their stride and, rattled off, what was that? 10 straight wins before falling to Providence tonight. And I think the best thing about when you look towards the future for this team, and as every team who gets to makes a deep postseason run, every team's going to look slightly different. South Putnam, the bright spot you're looking at if you're a South Putnam fan or if you're Coach Sorrell, is that you're bringing most of these skill guys back. Most of these Ty Benton is only a sophomore. Blake Witt is only a sophomore. A couple of the receivers are only sophomores. They do graduate. Their leading receiver in Wyatt Switzer, and of course their quarterback Wyatt Mullen. So there will be some change there. Up front, on both sides of the football, I think will be key to watch for them next year. That is where I think, if you have a question mark about what they're going to look like on the offensive and defensive line, I think that's probably your biggest question mark. But you've returned so many skill guys who got this far, and I'm saying, if I'm a betting man, I'm probably saying that they're back here next year, and not just because of. People can look at the sectional, they can look at the regional and say, did they have an easy pass? I mean, you can't control that if you're South Putnam. Right. You're just given the path that the IHSAA draws out for you. So I think they, regardless of who might be in their way next year, I think Sheridan. They at least get back. Yeah, Sheridan, we'll see.
They were very junior heavy this year.
Yeah, I mean, so we'll see. I would probably, like I said, if I'm a betting man, I might bet that we might see the Eagles back here next year.
Thank you so much to Michelle Garmon for co-hosting the Central Indiana Sports Report. And a special thanks to Richie Hall and Codey Emerson for coming on the Central Indiana Sports Report and talking about the games they covered on Friday night. And most of all, thanks to you for listening. Please go like, subscribe, or follow us on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Amazon Music, or at YouTube. Just search Central Indiana Sports Report and subscribe. You know what else would be really, really cool? If you told a friend. Appreciate you. Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media. And I love Susie.